All right, 10 o'clock now here on the KFYR Plus News Desk. And today we are joined by Jeff S. Korek, past president of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association and senior trial partner at GLK Law. He's here to break down the LaGuardia runway disaster, how it happened, who may be liable, and what victims need to know. Jeff, thank you for taking some time today to visit with us.
Thank you as well. Thanks for having me, Jay.
You got
First and foremost, condolences, of course, to the families of the crew and to, I think there were 75 people on board. I know about 40 supposedly were hurt, and our thoughts are with them as well. These are terrible accidents, and they should never happen, and they affect all of us because we're all flying and transportation, and it's all part of all of us, and so it hits home for everyone. So tell me, what can I help with today?
Well said, Jeff. Okay, so for viewers who aren't aviation experts, can you explain how runway clearances are supposed to work and what likely went wrong at LaGuardia?
Yeah, so this really points to the growing risk of collisions and understaffing at air traffic control facilities, and I don't take any joy in pointing out as the holidays come on us, that air traffic control is being stressed, and these examples are, we'd be hard pressed not to make some changes, and it's time. It's been time for a long time. So this Air Canada Express flight 8646 gets, it's a Mitsubishi, by the way, CRJ 900 airplane, and it's gets clearance to land at LaGuardia Airport, and it collides with a Port Authority, what they call an ARFF, which is an aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle, on the approach to runway 4 at LaGuardia in New York. Wholly avoidable. Probably the fault is, and again, these are just preliminary thoughts because all the information isn't in yet, and it's always best, I've learned from all of these airplane crash cases, and we represent the people, for example, in the Hudson River helicopter crashes, to wait until the evidence is all in before jumping to any conclusions. But from what we can see, this was wholly avoidable. The ARFF, the fire truck driver, and air traffic control are really the ones at fault. The heroes here, the crew flying that aircraft, did a great job avoiding what could have been an even worse situation and gave their lives for it. 11:31 p.m., this flight number 2384, a different flight, 2384 from United Airlines, declares that they have an emergency citing odor in the cabin. And at 11:35, that flight by air traffic control at LaGuardia is instructed to return to its gate and wait for first responders. That's our fire truck. The fire truck then comes out, and air traffic control at the same time is clearing this Air Canada flight, this 8646, operated by Jazz Aviation, to land on runway 4. As I said, it's carrying 72 passengers and 4 crew members. And the air traffic control clears the fire truck to cross runway 4. And at some point, the air traffic controller, within seconds, realizes he made a mistake. The fire truck is not responding. There's another plea within seconds for the fire truck to stop. It doesn't. The collision occurs. That fire truck should never have been given permission to continue on. The parties at fault here, we're going to be looking at the U.S. government for the Federal Aviation Committee, Administration rather, with regard to air traffic control. We're going to be looking at the New York and New Jersey Port Authority, which controls that fire truck and controls what happens on the airport. And we're going to be looking at Air Canada Express under the Montreal Convention, which is a set of rules that governs happenings like this when there is an airplane crash and what people's rights are. So there's a lot to look at. Again, still a lot of information coming in, but from what we've seen, relatively simple, almost like a motor vehicle accident where just 2 vehicles are in the wrong place, and typically it's the fault of one, and in this case, very likely the fire truck with most of the blame.
Jeff, would you say staffing shortage, outdated technology playing a measurable role here on this?
Well, what I'm hearing, and again, all the information isn't in, but two people working these night shifts, and this happens at 11:30 at night, is not enough. And there's just too much stress, too many things going on. LaGuardia is one of the busiest airports in the nation. We've got to do better. I know air traffic controllers have been sounding an alarm. Congress has got to get, their stuff in gear and get these people what they need. Get all of us what we need.
You mentioned quite a few agencies, including the FAA, Air Traffic Control, Port Authority, the airline itself. How do investigators determine a responsibility when multiple agency and parties are involved?
I think the FAA is going to look to air traffic control. They're going to come out through NTSB, or the National Transportation Safety Board, with their findings, and we'll see where that takes us. I think private lawyers like myself and others will also be looking at all of the pieces and seeing where the fault lies, and that may come out through depositions or through what we learned in interviews from NTSB.
For those passengers that are injured or family members who lost loved ones, what would be the first thing that they'd need to do in the first 48 hours?
Well, I think cooperating with the NTSB is always the right thing to do. I think consulting with attorneys who do this kind of work is important so that they can know their rights. It doesn't have to be adversarial. It could be working in conjunction with the FAA and NTSB to arrive at the facts. I mean, there are, a lot of people here, as I said, about 40 injured. The two airline, the captain and his crew chief were lost, and those families, are in a great deal of pain. And collecting facts and being smart about how to proceed and being deliberate is very important.
What does this crash reveal about the legal rights of airline passengers during emergencies?
Well, I don't know, what legal rights anyone could have exercised to avoid any of this. You're either on the airplane, or, I think that just knowing what your rights are after a mishap like this, because so much of the control, as we all know, is within the hands of the airlines and air traffic control, that knowing your rights after these events by consulting with attorneys who do this kind of work is probably the best way to be apprised of what you need to know. ChatGPT is just not going to do it.
No, it's not. Jeff S. Korek, thank you, sir. I sure appreciate your insight today. Partner with GLK Law. Thank you.
Thank you again, Jay, for having me. Appreciate it.
You bet. 8 minutes now after the hour. We'll take a break. We'll come right back with the day's top headlines next.